was amazing. That was amazing. Walk off slowly, and then they were like, cut! Yeah, that was incredible!
I just really enjoyed seeing from like a Waiting for Guffman point of view, seeing what everyone does in between takes. A lot of the suits have air conditioning units attached to them. So like in between sets, like the costume guy will come up and quite literally plug in Paul Bettany or plug in Chris Evans so that they have this like air conditioning tail, and they have
in the suit,
and they have this suit that's just being air conditioned, and that's just a weird thought. That what happens in between is just so weird. Or like, you know, retouching Thor's wig, or putting more fake alien blood on his shoulder, and lots of like Vaseline to make him look sweaty, like just things like that. And like it makes everyone look like so tough and cool, and everyone just has makeup on.
There is no funniest behind the scenes moment. I don't allow them. We have too much work to do. Honestly, it's just that when they get together, them talking, and probably Chris Evans, his imitation of Cap as a total wet is maybe maybe made me laugh harder than anything else. His whole, guys, I'm in charge. Every time he does it, it kills me.
I can't remember, and I didn't hear it because my makeup covers my ears. So I just sat there looking at everybody telling funny jokes, kind of going, what? It was a miracle if I heard a piece of direction from Joss Whedon. I think Robert Downey Jr. gave what looked like a speech when I came on set, but I couldn't really hear. But then everybody was smiling and very welcoming and shook my hand, and I think they were saying, welcome to the Avengers and everything, but I can't be sure.
It was hot, it was sweaty. We're filming in Atlanta in August, so it's humid, and that suit does not breathe, and we're wearing that cowl, that helmet thing. I don't know what it's made out of, but it's toasty. So yeah, everyone was kind of in between takes trying to escape to any sort of air-conditioned, whether it was a van or some sort of shade that a building would provide. It was challenging. It was demanding. It was long, but you knew you were part of something special. I think everyone made it out unscathed. Some of those guys do the. You can wear these suits, these cooling suits, underneath your uniform, where it's these little tubes that you plug into, and cold water runs through the tubes to bring your body temperature down. My opinion is just one more layer. In between takes, when you're not plugged into this little machine to run the water through, it's more heat. So I steer clear of that stuff and just try and race to the shade when I can. I really like my stuff with Spider-Man. Not to give anything away, you'll have to go see the movie for yourself, but it was fun interacting with him. It was fun having him in the Marvel universe.
There's a lot of stunt peeps, and if you have masks, you're quite lucky. You don't have to be in that thing. Some people might have been in it for a minute, but yeah, they're usually there as 10%. By the way, if I could, I probably would have too. I mean, it was steaming hot in that.
Yeah, I can't really even have a stunt double do too much because what I do isn't like specifically stunt work. It's like choreography.
Yeah.
So I'm always there.
Dancing.
I'm always there doing my dance moves. You would be horrible at it.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'll give you a bow and arrow, see what you do. Yeah, you always get banged up. Yeah, if you don't get banged up, you're not doing a good job.
Especially because you're resting for a few hours and then you have to go do something that's physical. It's really easy to just kind of tweak things.
We just weren't in there, all of us at the same time, because we were shooting it in different parts. Mm-hmm. So some people were missing.
I think the first fight sequence is really amazing because it kicks off the movie and puts you in an intense situation for the whole ride of the movie. So it puts you in the right frame of mind, the right energy. We're in pretty good shape. If you look at these guys, this is like truck 1, truck 2,
We just keep on driving forward.
We don't really talk about what happened on set.
Even early on, literally the first day, Chiwetel was having to disguise his look because he's dressed very much as Mordo is dressed throughout the film. When he's following me through the streets of Kathmandu, which is, like I said, where we started our shoot. And he had to disguise it, and he had this really tight lumberjack shirt over this bulking costume. He's obviously, he's a ripped guy underneath that costume as well. And then they gave him these khaki trousers to put over the rest of it. He just looked like this kind of inflated version of him. This head just shrunk with no neck. And he goes, yep. just a regular Joe going about my day. Can I do? It's just really funny. I don't know why that kind of became a bit of a running joke for a while, but you know, this was a really, really joyous film. There were a lot of laughs. I mean, I tried to make Rachel McAdams laugh by making it, well, I made her jump out of her skin. I was half dead on the gurney being wheeled in for the umpteenth operation, and just decided, just as she was sort of leaning in to go, and just give her a fright, which she never forgave me for, but she got her own back. Tilda is a terrible giggler. Mads had some interesting run-ins with his wires during some of our fight scenes, which were brutally funny, more brutal for him and more funny for us. He just got on with it. Oh, I've got another one, it's okay. Oh.
Well, it's sort of at his expense. Benedict had to, you know, he was wearing he had a lot of facial hair, but sometimes he'd have to go back to being clean shaven, like we were jumping between, you know, the hospital stuff early on and then when he becomes Doctor Strange later. So sometimes he had to have some facial hair glued on. But if he laughed while he was wearing it, it would come unstuck and sort of flap in the wind. So he had to, and we were laughing all the time, and he sort of had to laugh like, like a little like Santa Claus, you know? And it's just, and he'd try to hold the beard on, and the makeup artist would come by and say, stop laughing. We get so mad at him, and it was just very cute and endearing.
The stuff with the cloak was really funny to me. The moment of when the cloak wipes Benedict's tears was Benedict's idea, and I remember thinking what an ingenious idea that was. I thought that was really funny, and watching the stunt guys work when the cloak has itself wrapped around the zealot's head and is throwing him around the hallway. I remember laughing that day because poor stunt guy was just getting his head slammed into the, you know, I guess cruelty is comedy, right? But every time I watch the movie, I find that scene hysterically funny. As I've worked on it, it never is not funny to me. And then lastly, Benedict Wong's laugh at the end. That is the most infectious laugh in any movie ever.
Well, there was one moment, I believe, when I really felt that this is fun, and that's me throwing Strange around like a rag doll through some glass cabinets. And at one point I have a sword, I go for him and he ducks, and I go right through that glass cabinet. And we had a real sword, a real heavy metal one, for me to penetrate that whole thing. So it had to be very precise, and he had to duck himself at the right moment, and we rehearsed it again and again, and it was quite scary. But the second we do it and I go all the way through, before they say cut, you can just see my face go all big smile, because it was so hard not to laugh. It's like your father paying you to break your neighbor's windows. It's just perfect.
What's your funniest or most memorable moment from filming? It was actually one that I wasn't involved in. I just heard the story and I loved it so much. James Gunn does a lot of rehearsals with the actors, which is wonderful. He was rehearsing a really, really emotional scene between Mantis and Drax. And so Mantis is in floods of tears. It's all very serious. They're like dramatic actors. And then they look over to a window and Michael Rooker is mooning them. And his bare bottom is pressed up against some glass. And I was just like, that's classic. Like, that's just a classic antic. They do issue with that. A little, but not to see the bare bottom, but more just like for the reactions. Yeah, for the story. Yeah, like just to be a part of it because it's so brilliant.
I saw Pam and Dave they were in this auditorium inside of this room, and they were doing this very serious scene, and there's weeping involved, and it's so sad. And I was watching, and for some reason, it just occurred to me that they should feel, maybe someone should do something to help them laugh or feel better. So I ended up helping them out a little bit.
Hopefully that doesn't make the final edit.
No, it was during the rehearsal, so thank goodness it was during rehearsal. No, I would never, ever do anything silly during filming.
We would rehearse with Dave Bautista a pretty emotional scene, and at some point I was crying, and it was rehearsals, and at some point we see Michael Rooker just like showing his ass through the window, I was like, what is he doing? They're always like doing pranks. James Gunn and Michael Rooker, they're always like insulting themselves, and it's funny. So I remember one moment when Chris Pratt, in between takes, he would just do a German accent. He would be like a fashion TV host. with a German accent. It was hilarious.
Okay,
You know,
that's
just actually, I'm peeing my pants.
I think it's when we all are doing our stunts, because that's when you get to really see how wimpy we can be sometimes. Like, especially someone like Dave Bautista, who is an athlete, he's a wrestler, I mean, he's a former wrestler, and when you have him on these wires, he's just like, ouch. Oh, it's really funny.
My funniest moment was the moment I realized that I was dancing to the music as I was walking in the scene. I'm supposed to be in the scene, there's no music really playing, but they got the music blasting, blaring, and it's so cool. I don't even remember the song, but it was like, I'm going with it, and then I, you know, as an actor, you're like, I'm not supposed to be dancing to the scene, for God's sake.
What are your funniest or most memorable moments from filming?
I think my most memorable moment from filming was shooting in Queens. We had to do this sequence where Spider-Man is like dangling off the side of a building on the phone, and like 500 fans from New York showed up and they're all standing underneath me and all cheering me on and stuff. So that was kind of the first indicator that this was real and that people were like really behind me. And I think the funniest moment was Jacob. There's a scene in the movie where Jacob had to eat a Dorito, and I turned around to seeing him trying to put like handfuls of Doritos in his mouth, and it was, for some reason, like, you know when you and your friend just start cracking up and it's over? We spent a good 20-25 minutes just dying laughing.
Did you have any funny, like, really in-jokes with each other?
Yeah, there's a song called Sexual, which came out while we were shooting, so Harris and Jacob and I, whenever it would come on, which would be all the time because it was like in the top charts, we would like stop filming and just start dancing to this song, which was funny. Jacob used to make this noise where he'd go, uh-huh, after like every sentence, so that became a really big thing.
There's scenes between Tom and Jacob, Ned and Peter, that are just, I mean, had me dying. John, our director, would let them just kind of improv and bounce off of each other sometimes, and the stuff that they came up with was ridiculous. And so those are my favorite moments, is the stuff that's not even planned. My most memorable moments were actually before we even started filming. When we first all got out there, I guess the high school crew, we all got to kind of meet up each other, and we were supposed to start bonding. But naturally, we started bonding on our own before we were planned to bond, and we did like this like awkward like romantic picnic for like 5, and it was really fun. You know, we just hung out together and we immediately all instantly clicked, and I think that was my favorite part about, you know, filming this thing, is like making friendships that I think are gonna last forever.
Believe me, swinging from one hand is way harder than it looks. I was like, swing from one hand, it's easy, all you gotta do is hold on. But when you get to the bottom of the pendulum, depending on how high you've come from, I have fallen over so many times. There was a scene in the movie where I had to swing in and land in a Spidey pose, but there was a pole and I had to dodge the pole. And one time I just didn't dodge it, I just crashed straight into it. So in anticipation of doing that again, I like pulled too hard on the platform I had to jump off and sent myself into this crazy spin. And because it's like the 6th take of me getting the stunt wrong, I was really upset, I was frustrated, so I sort of let go, span twice in the air, landed on the floor, and was like, that was amazing. That was amazing. Walk off slowly, and then they were like, cut! Yeah, that was incredible! And it's in the movie. It's actually, I think it's in the movie anyway.
What's your funniest or most memorable moment from filming?
Warrior Falls, with because we had like a whole, you know, orchestra of drums, over 100 extras on the cliffs and rocks. And so between takes, a lot of times it would turn into, because people didn't have anything else to do, the drummers would start drumming and they would just go off into these beautiful numbers. The African drums would turn into hip hop songs and people would be dancing, and all of that was very, very special.
There was a bit in the Warrior Falls when like they would do drumming, like all the kind of all the different tribes they were doing drumming, and there was a day when we was like, they did Snoop Dogg, Drop It Like It's Hot. So we went in between takes, and then Tish grabbed the mic, and then she started freestyling, and then it just went crazy.
Yeah, it was just huge. Like, we had so much fun on set.
Drop It Like It's Hot was definitely one that got people going.
What an amazing thing to see.
Yeah, with everybody actually singing it from the cliffs.
We found ways to just have fun. You know, we get together, go bowling, go dinner, go to Nigerian restaurants.
Yeah,
you know,
just have
fun. make Lupita's PA like organize everything because she's the best one.
She's amazing.
Yeah. Katie's amazing. So
Katie.
that's how we had fun. Those were some of the memorable moments for us.
Is there any Nigerian food you had while you're shooting that you recommend?
Obviously, just straight jollof and
Jollof.
chicken.
And jollof rice.
Just straight jollof.
What else did we have? I had a bit of. I can't really say that. It's Disney.
Yeah.
It was
What
good.
were you going to say?
It was no, I don't know. I can't remember.
I can't remember. I just.
It's gone.
So this movie brings together all of our favourite Marvel characters in one gigantic film. I would love to know what your funniest or most memorable moment from making it together was.
One of the most impressive moments, actually, was working with Josh, and everyone, he was being pulled and pushed and punched and all sorts while speaking at the same time, while wearing the most ridiculous costume I've ever seen. He essentially wears like an American football, what are they called? The pads, and a helmet with a tennis ball on the top, and he's standing on a podium, and he's got these big arms that he has to hold on to. Like, he looks ridiculous, but he was so cool in how he did it, and he was so strong and so awesome. So for me, that was one of the coolest moments.
Who's the funniest on set?
Pratt. Chris Pratt is just too funny. Like, too funny, and I don't mean that in a way. Sometimes I can't work with him because he makes me laugh too much and we can't get my close-up. Yeah, he's hilarious.
I'm so happy to know he's exactly how you'd imagine him to
Oh,
be.
he 100% is. He's even more so. You know how you like see someone, you imagine what they'll be like? He's that version.
I'm just going on set and seeing everybody, you know, and kind of looking left and right and just, you know, pinching yourself going, is this real that all these people are here all at once?
And seeing people meeting up as well who perhaps didn't know each other, or I mean, I certainly met people I'd admired from afar from other films. Josh Brolin plays Thanos with such extraordinary relish, and he said to me that he was having more fun than he's ever had as an actor. He genuinely was having the time of his life, and I'm excited to see how that transmits in his performance.
I've heard he looked quite hilarious on set.
He looks rather like Mark Ruffalo looks when he's playing the Hulk, which is wearing a kind of chessboard onesie. Looks very comfortable, very stretchy. And I think, does Tom Holland also wear the same chessboard onesie?
Yep, they're both playing chess on each other's
Some of us get leather and metal, and other of us get chessboard onesies.
So we're expecting some huge action scenes, obviously. Do you each have a favourite stunt or move you had to learn for the film?
They let my guy reincorporate some of his knife skills back from the Winter Soldier movie. That was kind of fun to do. I don't know if it's made it into the film, but that was kind of fun.
I just have to do one arm movement. The gauntlet, you're
Boom.
dead. Not much.
And that's it.
Yeah.